Morning peeps, good morning everyone. How's everyone doing? Hopefully you guys are all doing well. Don't forget, if you're new to the channel, like, share, subscribe. You know when I say good morning, it really is good morning. It's just gone 6 o'clock here. We got back from the venue about 2 hours ago. I'm packed, I'm ready to go home. I was gonna go sleep for a couple of hours, but we do head to the airport at 8:30, so I thought, fuck it, let's stay up and let's talk about what we just experienced, what we just saw. Was it the greatest fight card ever? Look, I think it was. I think it was. I've been saying it all week. Not just because of the names, not just because of the matchups, but I felt like every fight had a story, every fight had a meaning, and ultimately, a lot of the fights delivered. So you can put all the names together, you can put all the fantastic matchups together. If it doesn't deliver on the night, then what is it? But I felt like 90% of the fight card delivered. Even, and we'll talk about this throughout the week, but we'll definitely talk about it today. We're going to touch on it today. Even the Joseph Parker, Martin Bakole one, I felt delivered. Obviously for Joseph Parker, not for my guy, Martin Bakole. All right, let's jump straight into it. Again, I am going to do a more in-depth review throughout the week, but I did want to get this video up. By the time you guys watch this video, I'll be in the sky on the way back to the UK. So I think whilst it's fresh in my brain, let's give this a whirl. All right, Joshua Buatsi versus Callum Smith. Let's read out the scorecards first. 116, 112, fair. 115, 113, maybe a bit generous to Buatsi. 119, 110, Steve Gray, too generous to Callum Smith. I think 116, 112 is fair. I think in the lead up to this, my question for Callum Smith was, does he still have the desire? Does he have the want to try and climb that mountaintop again, to challenge for a world title, to be in there against either a BIVOL or Beterbiev? He knows how difficult that is. Does he have that desire to do that again? The answer is emphatically yes. Emphatically. And he showed that from the very first round. From the very first round, this guy got tagged by Buatsi, and rather than kind of just go back to the corner and kind of shell up, he threw fire with fire immediately. And I was like, whoa, Buatsi's got an issue here. Callum Smith looked massive in the ring. He looked massive. Like, I've always felt like Callum Smith, I know he was massive for 168 pounds, but I almost felt like he was killing himself to make 168, and he really couldn't fill out. At 175, it almost looks like he fills out to 200 pounds plus. Like, no joke. Like, I've always felt like Buatsi was an undersized light heavyweight. But when you're next to Buatsi, you're like, okay, you're not undersized. You're actually pretty big. But Callum Smith made him look small in there. I mean, not small. I mean, look, Buatsi's still big. But I thought Callum Smith looked enormous. Like, his legs looked massive. His back looked massive. And when he sits down and throws his punches, he's throwing them with so much venom. Now, those hooks that he throws are fantastic. He hurt Buatsi to the body on several occasions. And I still don't know how Buatsi didn't fold. Like, honestly, Buatsi is made of something different. Like, I think I tweeted throughout the fight, like, Buatsi must have a chin like Gennady Golovkin. And I meant it because Callum Smith sat on those punches, and I mean, I didn't see the punch stats after, but his power punches to the head, I mean, he must have landed, I don't know, 30, 40, like big power punches to the head. And Buatsi took him. Don't get me wrong, Buatsi wobbled a few times, but he didn't go down. Honestly, he didn't go down. And Buatsi, what he did do was fight fire with fire, which made it for such an entertaining fight. But ultimately, I think, took Buatsi off his game plan a little bit. That was a tough fight to watch. And I say this as a bit of a Buatsi fan. You guys know I like Joshua Buatsi. We've got close mutual friends. And every time Buatsi's in the ring, I do root for him. But that was difficult to watch. It was. Like, he got hit a lot. I think he got hit a lot against Willie Hutchinson. Like, I've always felt like Buatsi's defense needs tightening up a little bit. He got hit a lot against Willie, but that's just the nature of the game, right? When you're in there against really top opponents, you are going to get hit. But I don't know, man. Buatsi, he seems to come in straight lines and he doesn't really move his head as much. But because he's so tough, he gets away with it. He just came in there against someone that maybe is just a higher level. Maybe it's a higher level. Like Callum Smith's only lost 2 fights. One was to a guy that we're going to talk about in a minute, Beterbiev, and the other one was to, at the time, the pound-for-pound #1 in Canelo. That's it. That's it. We almost needed to know where his level was, and I think we found out that his level is above Buatsi's level. Like his level, I would love to see Callum Smith versus Benavidez. I'd love him to heal up a little bit. It looks like we might get a trilogy, I'm jumping here, between BIVOL and Beterbiev. And if it's Benavidez, it's a case of, okay, what do I do? And what you can do is fight Callum Smith. What Buatsi can do is fight Anthony Yard. But I do think Buatsi needs to sit it out for a little bit, because he took a lot of punishment in that fight. He really did. I mean, I was ringside and I can hear those shots clean. And I mean, again, Callum Smith really digs deep. It wasn't just digging deep. Again, he mixed up quite well, because he started the body attack, and then when Buatsi started tucking up, and Buatsi tucked up quite well, then he went up top, and then that opened up the guard, then he went down again. I was like, fucking hell. Like, this guy's really good. And I feel bad that I even second-guessed his desire and if he can still compete at the top level, because he can compete at the top level. Like, I'm not joking. Like, I don't think Benavidez fight's a foregone conclusion. I really don't. On that performance, I think he gives Benavidez all that Benavidez can take. Benavidez maybe starts as a favourite, but Callum Smith ain't no joke, you know. Ain't no joke. All right, what was the fight after that? We'll jump around here, but was it Zhilei Zhang? I have no idea if it was Zhilei Zhang or if it was... Yeah, let's go Zhilei Zhang and Agit Kabayel. I've said for the longest time that Agit Kabayel is the most disrespected top-tier heavyweight, the most underestimated top-tier heavyweight. And once again, he proved everyone wrong. I think a few people picked him, but I think the majority picked Zhilei Zhang. Zhilei Zhang, too big. Zhilei Zhang has a very good record, even with a defeat in there. I think a very dodgy defeat to Hrgovic, but a legitimate defeat to Parker. So he's got a couple of defeats in there, but I think one maybe should be ruled the other way round. But Zhilei Zhang came into that fight with some form, as did Agit Kabayel. But there's always been these weird, for some reason, asterisks against Agit Kabayel's big wins. Frank Sanchez was injured. Arslanbek Makhmudov ain't all that. Mate, Agit Kabayel was legit. He fought Zhang's fight. And what I mean by that is he didn't need to stay in that wheelhouse. He decided for some reason that he is going to fight fire with fire, and in doing so, he's going to chop that tree down, because he knew the pace in which he set, Zhang couldn't keep up with. But the risk was there, and we saw the risk when he got knocked down. If you stay in that wheelhouse with a guy that is 280 pounds and has bricks in both hands, there's likely you're going to get caught. And he got caught, but then he seemed to be able to regroup straight away and get straight back down to action. And then obviously, as I said, he chopped the big tree down, like he did Makhmudov and like he did Frank Sanchez. Agit Kabayel, I don't know what Turkey does with him in terms of an opponent, but I like it. I mean, we're going to get to Bakole in a minute, but I mean, I still have hope of Bakole. I wouldn't mind that one. Bakole was called in Kabayel a duck, a chicken. Maybe we revisit that if Bakole still is on that path. I don't know if Bakole needs to press the reset button. I do think he does for different reasons, but maybe they revisit that. For Zhilei Zhang, I'm not quite sure what happens with Zhang. He was blowing out of his ass from round 2. And at 41 and 280 whatever pounds he was, you just don't fix the cardio. I still think there are really good fights out there for him. But that want to maybe become a world champion, maybe it's just a case of have fun fights now. Have fun fights. He's a name. He's very dangerous for 3 or 4 rounds. But if you can weather the storm, I think we've seen it now. The gas tank does run empty. All right, Hamzah Sheeraz versus Carlos Adames. Guys, I am the biggest Hamzah Sheeraz fan. But how that fight was scored a draw, I just don't like it. Honestly, I don't like it. I don't like it at all. The scores, just to be clear, 114-115, 118-110. Barry Lindemann scored it 118-110 to Carlos Adames. Guido, I don't know, I can't pronounce his surname, Cavalieri scored at 115, 114 to Hamzah Sheeraz. And Omar Minton Sr. scored at 114, 114. Those two guys need to look at themselves. I mean, Carlos Adames won that fight. Ultimately, I'm at peace knowing that Carlos Adames keeps his belts. Keeps his belt. Because if Carlos Adames was robbed like that, then it kind of just puts a sour taste in your mouth. And I don't want that. I don't want that for Riyadh season, which has been fantastic for boxing, and I certainly don't want that for Hamzah Sheeraz. I think Hamzah's done a few interviews after the fight. I saw one, I think it was with it was with Sky Sports, and you could tell he's very disappointed. I think he knows he lost. He's not stupid. He knows. And look, Carlos Adames was always going to be hard. Carlos Adames can fight. You know, there's this fantastic sparring video of Adames versus Terence Crawford, where they are fucking just going at each other. Terence Crawford gets the better of it, but that alone should tell you how good Carlos Adames is. Go and watch it. I think they go on for like 10 minutes just going at each other. I think Hamzah didn't let his hands go enough. It felt like Hamzah was in control of the first 3 or 4 rounds and then seemed to switch off and then couldn't get back in the groove. And I think he done well in the last couple of rounds, but it was just single shots. And Adames seemed to, every time Hamzah would land something, Adames, probably knowing where he is and how much of a favourite Hamzah is to His Excellency, Adames would land 2 threes and 4s, just to kind of say, okay, look what I've done. I've done this work. So, yeah, I don't know. It's not back to the drawing board for Hamzah because, I mean, you dared to be great, you stepped up, you tried to become a world champion. But I do think they need to look at the output because he shelled up so much sometimes and nothing was coming back. And although the judges didn't seem to favour favour Adames' work, the judges aren't going to like you shelling up like that all the time. So he maybe needs to look at that. There are so many good fights out there for him. I do wonder about the weight cut to 160. I mean, this guy was at 154 a few years ago. I have no idea how. But I do wonder if that weight cut's impeding him to really put a good output, you know, in terms of just throwing flurries and punches, for fear that the gas tank's going to run empty. So maybe they should look at jumping to 168. Or maybe they do it again. Who knows? Maybe they do it again. All right, where are we going? Vergil Ortiz versus Israel Madrimov. I'm reading out all these names. It's fucking incredible, this fight card. Honestly, incredible. Good fight. Very good fight. Scorecards. 117, 111, 2 wide. 115, 113, 115, 113, I think is correct. Madrimov started off fantastic. Moving, bouncing, on the back foot, engaging when he needed to. Almost a bull and a matador. But with that story, the bull and the matador, most times the bull will get the matador. Forgive me, people, it's 6 o'clock in the morning. And I've almost felt like it was only a matter of time before Vergil made Madrimov fight the way Vergil wanted to fight. Because for the first 5 or 6 rounds, it was almost like Madrimov's style versus Ortiz's style. Madrimov move and hit and move and hit, and Vergil come in straight lines, create angles, pressure, 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 pressure. Madrimov succumbed to Vergil's style. In the end, that's what happened. Madrimov succumbed to Vergil's style, and then they ended up fighting in a phone booth. I'm sorry, nobody is beating a Mexican in a fight in a phone booth. It's just not happening. Ain't happening at all, regardless of how good Madrimov is. So I thought Vergil Ortiz just put his style more on the front foot than Madrimov's style. And in the end, Vergil got the win. And it was a fantastic win for Vergil Ortiz as well. Be intrigued to know what next. Is it going to be Fundora? Will you wait to see how Ennis and Stanionis plays out? If Ennis wins, Ennis could jump to 154 pounds. Remember, there was a lot of talk. It seemed to be pretty much done, Ennis versus Vergil Ortiz. So maybe we'll see how that plays out. But good win for Vergil Ortiz. Vergil Ortiz is the type of fighter that I think fans would pay to watch all the time. I think he's sensational. I mean, this guy just gives you action throughout. I think he's really good. And for Madrimov, I think Madrimov's style of getting hit and not getting hit and fighting on the back foot, he needs to engage more. He's clearly got the power to engage. Of his 10 wins, 7 of those have come by knockout. He's got the power. I think he just needs to sit on his shots a bit more because that style is not going to win you too many fights at the very top level. The level just below, yes, I think Madrimov can beat a lot of 154 pounders. But that championship level against the very elite, he might struggle because unless he knocks you out, and he can do that, I don't think the judges are going to favour that style of boxing where he's just on the back foot, not really engaging enough. Just my 2 takes on it. All right, let's talk about Martin Bakole versus Joseph Parker. Oh my God. Oh my God, that hurt me. It hurt me, you know what it is? I actually did an interview with someone the other day, Boxing King Media, and he actually asked me, Adit, who do you want to win this fight? And I said, Joseph Parker. And I said, it means a lot more for Joseph Parker. Martin Bakole's already got a built-in excuse, took the fight on 2 days' notice, took me 1 day to get here, and that's a very valid fucking excuse. My thing with Martin Bakole, and you know, I'm going to message Billy Nelson, not that he's going to care what I have to say, but Martin Bakole walking around that heavy is just not good enough. I'm sorry, it's not. This is your job. And I truly mean this. This is your job. Like, you can't walk around at 310 pounds if you think you want to be the best heavyweight in the world. You just can't. I'm sorry. Like, you can't be as out of shape as Martin Bakole was. This isn't about the travel, and this isn't about getting the fight on 2 days' notice. I'm just talking about if you being a professional boxer is your job, then I think you owe it to yourself to keep your body in as good a shape as you possibly can. Like, he was going to fight Efe Jagba in May. So he was going to start fight camp 310 pounds. That's a joke. And look, ultimately, I mean, that's not the reason he lost. The reason he lost is he got caught by a good shot on the top of the head and it messed up his equilibrium. But I'm just looking at him. As soon as he came to the ring and he took off his robe, I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, no, not for me. Honestly, not for me. You've got to take this a lot more serious. Like, Martin Bakole, he was 284 for Jared Anderson. Martin Bakole should be a fighter in his 270s. He should. He should be a fighter that fights in his What was Martin Bakole before? Let me just 1 second. Now, when did Martin Bakole become this heavy? I want to see what Martin Bakole weighed for Michael Hunter. Martin Bakole for Michael Hunter was 256 pounds. For Marius Vac, 263. For Kevin Johnson, 264. How's he become this guy now, a 300-pound guy? How's he become a 300-pound guy? Tony Yoka was a good performance, 275. Sergei Kuzmin, 251. How's Martin Bakole become 300 pounds? That's not just growing as a man. That's you just not serious. Not serious, eating shit and not taking your career serious, honestly. But look, credit to Joseph Parker. He deserves a lot of credit because it was all on him. All the pressure was on him to get the job done. And now, I mean, I think someone put out there the people that Joseph Parker's fought in his career. It's incredible. I mean, Joseph Parker deserves a lot of credit as well. And he's screaming for a world title shot. I mean, look, if Dubois is ill and out for a couple of months, and it shouldn't be, I mean, sure, Dubois will be back soon. But if Dubois wants to sit it out and fight AJ, then roll the dice. Let's do this. Joseph Parker versus Alexander Usyk. It's not even a roll of the dice. Joseph Parker deserves a world title crack. I wouldn't mind that, actually. I wouldn't mind AJ Dubois, Parker, Usyk. Same card. Wouldn't mind that in the summer. Wouldn't mind that at all. For Bakole, I actually don't know what Bakole does. I don't know what he does. I mentioned the Agit Kabayel. It depends how much stock people put into this defeat. I put a lot of stock into it. Again, I'm just upset about the weight. I just don't know. Is he training? Does Martin Bakole train properly in between fight camps? And I don't mean train as in spar. I mean just train, go gym, jog. Of course he doesn't. I know the answer. It was a rhetorical question. All right. Main event. Oh, no. We've got one more, haven't we? Shakur Stevenson, Josh Padley. Credit to Padley, man. credit to Padley. Even when hurt, Padley got up and was banging the canvas and he was fighting fire with fire. But when Shakur put this shit together, like when Shakur puts his hands together and decides to show you how good he is, boy, he's good. That was my first time watching him up close and personal. Obviously, I've watched a lot of Shakur Stevenson fights over the years, waited up till 4 or 5 in the morning to watch them. But that was my first time watching him live. And his composure, I was watching his feet, the way in which he whips shots, he doesn't look fast, but his hands are so fast. Do you know what I mean? I know that might, like he doesn't look, he's not clearly Amir Khan, Manny Pacquiao fast. He isn't that fast, even Adam Azim fast. But those shots, he disguises them so well that they come from nowhere. Like he kind of does that, you know that Canelo shot where Canelo looks like he's gonna go to the body, then whips it up top. Ryan Garcia started to do it as well. He does that so well. But yeah, I think he's a genius. It got to the stage though, I can't lie. I think from round 7 onwards, I was like, okay, if you do not stop Josh Padley soon, people are gonna start to go crazy on social media. And I was actually getting worried for him. But when he put Padley down, I was almost like, whew, okay, thank God. Because people, you know what people are like when it comes to Shakur Stevenson. And I get it. I understand why people are like that. Shakur Stevenson is considered a pound for pounder as a freeweight world champion. If you can't get rid of a guy that's clearly levels below you in 4 days' notice, there is a problem. But he did. He decided to really become spiteful with those shots. Those body shots were brutal. But not just the body shots, up top as well. But Shakur Stevenson was really good. Anyway, enough of that. Let's get to the main event. I so wish I was home and had my Dmitry BIVOL poster behind me. Because let me tell you now, I'm not supposed to do what I did. I'm not proud of it because I work on the broadcast, but I lost my voice from screaming for BIVOL in that fight. And a few people were ringside kind of looking at me saying it's kind of unprofessional. And it was. I just got carried away. I just got carried away because it looked like that fight was going one way. Like BIVOL started the fight well. I think if I can remember correctly, BIVOL had like a really good like opening 4 rounds where I think I gave BIVOL 3 of the first 4 or maybe 2 apiece. After that, Beterbiev came out like a man possessed. He came out like mate, that guy is fucking frightening. That guy is frightening. He came out like a man possessed and I was like, BIVOL's in trouble here. He hurt BIVOL to the body. Either he hurt BIVOL to the body or BIVOL was playing like games with us. Because I thought BIVOL was in trouble. He definitely hurt BIVOL up top. I saw BIVOL's legs kind of dip a little bit. So I think I gave Beterbiev maybe the next 2 or 3 rounds. And I thought, you know what I mean, BIVOL, you know, he's done well, he's tried, but Beterbiev is just a killer right now. And Beterbiev seems to be on the front foot a lot. And they were kind of rubbing BIVOL's legs in the corner, like, you need to get your legs back, you need to get your legs back. I don't know what the fuck they did in that corner. He got his legs back, and I'm telling you now, BIVOL had 3 rounds of boxing. I think it was from round 7 to 11, which might have been the best rounds I've ever seen of a fighter live. Especially considering who they're fighting against. Especially considering what was at stake. He was fighting a pound for pounder, and at stake was undisputed. And I thought he boxed, like he made Beterbiev swing and miss and roll under him, jabs, big shots up top, he'd win the end. Oh my God, it was just beautiful. It was a thing of beauty. Oh, I wish I fucking had that BIVOL poster right next to me. BIVOL, I'm sorry for doubting you, my man. I am. I'm sorry for doubting you. But trust me, I was with you in this fight. I thought BIVOL was just sensational. Honestly, because look, he's up against someone that's just a force, a brick. Like, I've said this already. They look like they're 2 weight classes apart. Like, BIVOL looks like a 168 guy. He does. You guys watch, you've seen 168 guys. BIVOL looks like a 168 guy, and Beterbiev looks like a fucking cruiserweight. Beterbiev's back was as big, it was like that. Is this lens big enough? Can you see that? It was like that. He's massive. And Beterbiev was just fucking coming and just putting weight into those shots. and BIVOL had to kind of fight fire with fire, which was risky. He had to stay in that pocket, and he stayed in the pocket for just the right amount of time, then vanished, then circled, and it was just beautiful. And it got to the stage, I was screaming from rounds like 5 to 8. From 9 onwards, I was just clapping. I was like that, I'm not joking, I was just clapping, thinking, you are a genius. You are a fucking genius. So look, I'm so happy for Dmitry BIVOL. It's one apiece. I don't really want to see a trilogy. I would rather see other dance partners, but it's one apiece. And it was so close in both fights. You got to do it again. You've got to do it again. Benavidez was there, and I know Benavidez wants the winner, and I get it. But again, Benavidez go to Callum Smith. Buatsi could go Morel or Yard. BIVOL and Beterbiev have got to get it on again. We need to know definitively who is numero uno. You know, one thing I did see, it was also small, but I saw it. I think I saw Beterbiev age. For the first time, I saw Beterbiev breathing heavily. I saw him almost in panic mode for the first time. It was the first time watching Beterbiev when I was like, you're 40. You're 40. And that was because BIVOL was so good with his legs, his jab, everything. So look, guys, it was a great night of boxing. Again, I will do videos when I get home. I wanted to do a quick video. This one is very rushed. I do apologize. I might have been talking a lot of crap. I need to go to sleep, get some coffee in me, get home, and we'll be back on the green chair. Me and G-Man are going to film a couple of videos this week as well. What an amazing journey. Like, to be out here for this, incredible. I know I wasn't on screen much, but I did host the show, and for me, that's something I'm never, ever going to forget. Like, even if I never do anything else in my career, I'll never forget that I hosted the greatest fight card ever.